Hello wonderful people, my name is Catherine and you're watching this Catherine channel. Today we are continuing on with my FloraCraft series. We're starting episode 5 today and we are exploring the Nether. This time we were actually successful, thank goodness. So I do hope you enjoyed the video and I do apologize for my absence. I know it's been quite a while since I last uploaded. I'm gonna try to upload another video next week so we're a little bit more consistent. And yeah, let's get started, shall we? Last week we did some houses for my pets and I've only just realized that I completely forgot to do a house for my bunnies. So if you have any ideas or things that you would like the house to include, please drop a comment down below and I will be sure to include all your lovely ideas. Also, the brown bunny does not have a name yet. So we have Stella and the unnamed bunny. If you have any name suggestions for this bunny, please drop them down in the comments and I will include them all on a wheel that we get to spin next episode to decide which name gets picked. Before going into the Nether, I wanted to get as many stacks of dirt as possible. I actually used dirt in this video for quite a few things. One of them was to help me retrace my steps if I ever got lost. I would put dirt behind me every now and then to make sure that if I did get lost, I would just follow the dirt right back to my portal. I also use this, as you will see later in the video, to make a hut in order for me to defeat blazers, because as we saw in the last video, just going straight after them and not having any protection is probably not the wisest idea. So I managed to get as much dirt as possible. I ended up getting 4 stacks, which is quite a lot of dirt. After acquiring more dirt than I will ever need, I went and found my portal and got ready to go right back into the Nether. Because not many animals spawned on the hill that I was on, it was quite hard to get food. So instead of doing the right thing and going back down the hill, getting food, and then coming all the way back up, and my hunger would have already been completely depleted by then, I used a less humane way and used the lava bucket to reset my hunger each time I was hungry. So please forgive me for that, but it wasn't a bad idea. I then entered the Nether with my 1 stack of dirt because, considering the last episode and the episodes that came before it, I do tend to die quite often and quite quickly, and I didn't want to have to gather dirt every single time I died. So I just took a quarter of the dirt I had, which meant less dirt collecting for me. I then journeyed along one of the paths we made last episode, just avoiding an Enderman because I was not ready to die within my first few seconds of being in the Nether, and then we continued along this path that we had made and finally reached the blazes. Now I had to go back and along this path quite a few times because a lot of the times when I did it, there were already way too many blazes in the air and it just wasn't really safe for me to come down. I was very protective over my dirt. I was not doing this over and over and over again, so instead I had to attempt this quite a few times, and in the end we got what I think would be a perfect spawn where there weren't many blazes and I could then make my little hut. Thankfully, we didn't lose any dirt to lava that day, but I was very squished. So instead of just sitting in my 1x2 hole, I proceeded to make the hole a little bigger so I had more space to move around when attacking the blazes. After finishing my renovations of this dirt hut, I forgot which side the blazes were on, so had to do a bit of a trial and error. This side was the wrong side, but we got there eventually. I then sat for a second wondering, how am I gonna do this? And I'm not sure what all of that wondering led to, but in the next clip, I lost almost all of my hearts, as you can see. I'm not sure what happened, but it was bad enough that I ran. And run I did, straight into blazes and straight into my first death of the episode. So that was interesting, and you'd think after the same thing happened last episode that maybe I'd learn. Apparently I didn't, but I didn't make the mistake again all episode, so we did learn eventually, but I was out of snowballs and I had to go collect a whole bunch of snowballs all over again, but at least it wasn't dirt. And after collecting stacks and stacks and stacks of snowballs, we made the journey back into the Nether again to defeat the blazers once again, or at least attempt to defeat the blazers, because they seem to have a habit of defeating us and not the other way around, so I wanted to do something to change that. And by changing that, I mean I sat and pondered some more. But this time, thinking actually led to action because I got ready with my snowballs and I started to absolutely annihilate the blazes. I was very proud of myself. That was my first blaze I killed in this episode, and my first blaze rod. That was really exciting. And with this newfound confidence, I got to work getting rid of more and more blazes until I had 18 whole blaze rods. Soon I was tasked with figuring out how in the world I could get back to my nether portal, because there was an added risk. Now I had all of these blaze rods. They did take me quite a bit of time to get, so I was worried that I would just lose all of them and die like I had done in the previous attempts. Something that I wish I had done sooner was make a safe staircase back to the platform that we originally jumped down from. The issue was, because I had jumped down from it instead of walking down, there wasn't really a safe way for me to get back up. The only way was if I built with dirt blocks, but there was a very high probability that if I did do that, I would be knocked off into the giant pool of lava below me. So instead, I tried to find a way where I could exit on foot without the possibility of being chucked into a giant pool of lava, and in doing so, I ran right into a dead end. After realizing my mistake, I ran right back to the little dirt house we built, and I plotted other ways I could get right back to my platform. I think a main issue was I forgot how to get back to my platform. I think if I had been a little wiser and I had tried to get back to the platform without the blaze rods, just to kind of know the path, I hadn't gone back to the platform ever, because every time I respawned or I went back to my nether portal, it was because I died. I didn't get the opportunity to go back and test out the ways to get up, so that was probably my biggest issue. And because I couldn't really find any better options at the time, I built up and I bridged over to my path. Now, I didn't really get very far because I thought the blazers couldn't go within like 50 blocks of the player, like they lost you if you went too high or too far away. But I was wrong, because I thought I was far enough away and I thought I was safe. I was not safe, and I soon realized this. I thought it was a fluke that a fireball nearly hit me, but it was not a fluke. And you can see me frantically trying to get to the other side and protect myself. Yeah, it was me versus a blaze very high up, and I was just not going to win. So instead, I built another dirt hut. We seem to love dirt huts this episode. I then put all of my blaze rods in a chest, and that is where they are to this day. They didn't make it back because I surrendered. I knew there was no chance I was going to get back down safely, so I put all of my belongings in this chest, and I surrendered to the blazes. Removed my dirt hut, and yep, there we go. Now, after that experience, I wanted to give myself a break from blazes. I didn't want to have to go through that again straight after, so I decided to kill Enderman instead, because they were a lot easier to kill and they didn't shoot fire at me, thank goodness. So I actually had a blast killing Enderman, so much so that I think this next segment deserves some satisfying music to help us recover from our experience with blazes. Please enjoy. Okay, now that our satisfying segment has finished, we collected some more ender pearls and then headed right back along the path we made. Thankfully, we did not forget how to get to the path this time. And because we were on a similar ground to where the path was and there wasn't too much of a height difference, I actually managed to get to the path quite easily. I figured that I might be able to put 10 of my ender pearls in a chest and use the other 2 to teleport up to where my blaze rods were. But after realizing that probably wouldn't really get me anywhere, I decided to completely abort that mission and just go and collect the blaze rods once again. But this time, I was smart enough to create a safe staircase back up to my pathway. So we did not lose them this time, and we were actually successful. Yes, I am aware that a fire is burning in my hut, and I haven't even realized yet. There we go. And after collecting 13 blaze rods, not as many as last time, but enough to make the amount of Eyes of Ender that we needed, I journeyed back up. And this is the best moment of the episode right here. I thought I was gonna die, but I didn't. So just watch this. I put this in slow motion. And then I ran. For my life. Not sure how that happened. I genuinely thought I was gone there. But anyways, this is probably a good time to mention that I'm going to be starting my adventures in the end next week. So if you have any ideas for things that you would like me to include in the next episode, please drop them down in the comments below. I'm going to be taking a 2-day break between when this is published and when I start the next episode. So if this video is less than 2 days old, please consider dropping down any ideas you have and I will be sure to include them. Now, because I had quite a few attempts at killing blazers, I had 7 blaze rods in my chest already, and adding 13 to that, which is what we just collected, meant I had 20 blaze rods, but only 10 ender pearls. So I made sure to get a few more ender pearls on my way back and also got some souvenirs that we can hang up in our little cottage. I then gathered all the materials and items that I wanted to take back with me, and we journeyed out of the Nether for the last time and back into the overworld. Upon returning to the overworld, it was nighttime, so I slept, and then I need to find a way to regain my hunger back so I can make the trip to our cottage. Now, there are 2 options in this situation. I could either eat, or I could die. And of course, I went with the latter. And after respawning, we gathered all the necessary items and we started on the journey back to the cottage. Now, I don't usually put sound effects in my videos, but please enjoy this because I thought it was quite hilarious. This is me in 10 times speed. Let's go. And after returning home, I got some leftover spruce log that I had from a past adventure and made some item frames with that. With these item frames, I wanted to hang it on either side of the door so I could always see it in my outros. And in these item frames, I added some things I found in the Nether. Originally was a warped fungus, but I decided that I didn't like the way that looked. So we ended up going with that. And then we made some Eyes of Ender, which was what the whole video was about. After making the Eyes of Ender, this is the end of the episode. I really do hope you enjoyed, and let's quickly cut to the outro. Thank you to all the lovely dreamers that have stayed and watched the video for this long. If I was able to make you smile or make your day a little brighter, please consider subscribing and liking the video if you have an account and you haven't already done so. I'm really happy with the progress we made this episode, especially because it was my first time attempting to get the Eyes of Ender, and I'm glad that we got as many as we did, although it did take quite a while, and it technically took 4 months. But this video footage is quite old and I'm only just now doing the voiceover for it. But new content will be out next week, like I've mentioned quite a few times. Please look forward to that, and to all of the lovely dreamers that have stayed from when I first uploaded to now, thank you so much. You guys mean the world to me, and thank you for waiting patiently for my arrival. I look forward to reading all of your comments that you guys leave down below, and I will see you next episode. Goodbye!